Today on Use What You Got, we're gonna renovate the twins' closet on a budget. So as you can see, this closet is overstuffed. There's an old dresser in there that used to be Melody's. There's just random storage on the top that isn't really being used. And as you'll see in this next shot, the walls are pretty busted up. The shelves and clothes hanging system are probably original to the home. They were in pretty bad shape. And we just wanted something a little simpler. The girls are pretty rough with certain things, so we didn't want to spend too much money on this. So we ended up tearing it out. And there was also this weird storage system on the right side of the closet that I ripped out when we first moved in. As you can see, these holes lower on the wall. Now they used these pieces of wood to reinforce the shelves, which was a smart idea, but they were a pain to get off the wall. They just painted up to them and over top of them, but they didn't paint before they mounted them. So just another thing I had to fix. But to save your wall, you can use your spackling knife behind a hammer to pull away from the wall. It'll spread the pressure so that the hammer doesn't just go straight through your drywall. Of course, after you're done with that, definitely give yourself some time to clean up the floor and the walls. Because they hadn't painted, there was the slightest lip or indent of, where the paint laid on the wall versus where the pieces of wood were. I'm not a professional at all at applying drywall mud, and honestly, I don't even know if I know what I'm doing. But my goal when I do it, because I have done it many times, is just to get everything as flat and smooth as possible. Now you'll see here all these holes. Because there were so many and some of them were so deep, I had drywall tape. So what I would do is I would try to get a nice thick layer of drywall mud on the wall, and then I would take a piece of tape and put it over the drywall mud, kind of press it in there a little bit, and then put more drywall mud on top of that tape. It worked out for the most part, and 3 coats later, the wall was looking so much better. But I really do believe if you take the time to prep well, especially before you paint, your projects will come out so much better. So I really wanted to take my time and get it right on this wall. Of course, after having done all this mudding, the wall was pretty rough, so it had to be sanded. And this is probably one of my least favorite things to do, like when it comes to anything, but it's necessary. So I made sure to put up a sheet and really cover the closet because I didn't want any of this dust to come out. And you'll see in a minute how bad and how much dust there was. Also, make sure you wear a mask because if this stuff gets up in your nose and mouth, it can be pretty bad. I was using these little sanding discs, and they work out really well. You can use a pole and an attachment for a pole, but it was a small space, so I just decided to do it by hand. I was pretty tired afterwards, but I got it done, and again, you'll see in just a second here how messy it was to do this. Yeah. It's hard to tell, but the walls look so much better. The floor does not. You can see how much dust was created. Well, time to clean it up. So I vacuumed the floor, then I grabbed a rag and got it wet and made sure I wiped down all the surfaces, including the trim. And this was in prep for caulk. I'm gonna caulk now, and my preferred caulk is the Quick Seal DAP Kitchen and Bath Adhesive caulk. I've used a few others, but this is the one I seem to always go back to. Yeah, so my recommendation for you, I have a little cheap caulk gun. I already cut the little hole at the end. I kept it really small. And one cool trick, if you pull this out on the end, you can use that to pop it, and it's not even long enough. Great. I have to go find something longer than this. 1 second. I got it open, and stick it inside of here, get it pressed up, and I'm gonna use the towel that I actually wiped the wall down with as I'm caulking. So here it comes. Now the method I'm using here is pretty common. Get your finger a little damp. After you put the caulk on the cracks, pull your finger across the caulk in the crack. Try to push it down in to fill the crack. Any excess you have, just put it in an area that you haven't put the caulk down yet, so you can save it and not waste any. And then once you get it nice and filled in, all you have to do is take that damp rag and just start wiping it. And what'll happen is it'll clean up the edges where you can see, like up on the wall, it was coming off. And it'll also smooth out the line that's actually in the gap. As you can see, I've already gotten rid of most of those gaps. So just a little bit of caulk goes a long way.
Alright, we're going to try this out. Hopefully it records something that's worth using. Painting the closet today. We are using a color called Piggy Bank from Bear. And yeah, we'll see how it turns out.
So I'd like to give my wife a big shout out because without me knowing, she took my camera and set it up and filmed herself painting the closet. And she's a pretty smart person, but she doesn't really know much about my camera. Props to her for setting up this shot.
Let the record show that I had already found all the studs, and he's just feels like he needs to check my work. I checked it by 2 methods. Check this out. This guy is called the Stud Buddy, and it's a magnet that finds the screws in the stud. It worked earlier. There's a stud here.
All right.
It's him.
We all know that. Okay. We don't.
You need that. You're going to hold it up. And we're going to hold this up.
Feeling a little trapped right now.
Yeah.
How did you hit the one point where there's a...
Because I roll.
But there's literally like a nail coming through it.
Yeah, that's a good height
Okay.
for me. So I would mark like one of the center holes, and then I'm going to hand you the level.
Okay, but do you remember how close we wanted to be to the left and all that stuff? Because we're starting on the left. The piece that I'm trying to put in right now on the top is pretty much the most important part, where it has to be level, and this is what's pretty much holding up most of the system. By the way, if you've never used these anchors, these are one of the best inventions I've ever found. They hold up to 75 pounds per anchor. No holes or anything, just you screw them right in.
I'm gonna choose this.
Again, these pieces being level is extremely important. No, it wasn't bad. Okay, we're good.
Why didn't you finish the bottom first? The posts and stuff are still in there. That don't make sense. Hope you got that on camera.
After we finally got the main part of the system up, I gave Martina a little bit of room to figure out how she wanted the system to be put together, and this is what she came up with. Thanks for sticking around to the end of this project, and we're not done yet. We still have the rest of the room to do. It's easier for us to buy something that's on the cheaper side, let them kind of grow for a little bit, and then down the road invest in some more expensive, probably items that'll last a bit longer. So we'll see how this goes, but we're pretty happy with it so far. And we have it set up to where the girls can still come in here and get the things they need on a daily basis. And we still have room on the top for long-term storage. Just a quick note I wanted to make. You'll notice there's a bit of a gap on the right side. The goal was to put a shorter shelf that IKEA sells over here. Pretty much the similar layout, but just down the side. But we could not find it anywhere. So down the road, we'll probably put that in at some point. when it's available again. I hope you enjoyed this project. Look out for part 2, where we paint the room, paint the trim. We bought them a new rug. We got a bunch of stuff to put on the walls. So it's gonna be a good time. And yeah, thanks for sticking around. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing, hitting that like button. That helps me. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Today on Use What You Got, we're gonna renovate this closet on a budget for some. Today on Use What You Got, we're gonna renovate this closet for our twins. No. Today on Use What You Got, we're gonna renovate. Today on Use What You Got, we're gonna renovate the Quinn's tablet on a bobbit.